The challenges facing our teens today mean that more than ever, we need to be there to support them and encourage them. The Dr. STEM Show is here to provide discussions about topics that will help promote healthy relationships, self-image, and success for teens, parents, and the community. Our young people can achieve more in life than they ever dreamed possible. The Dr. STEM Show, hosted by Dr. STEM Malatini, will foster these discussions and encourage your participation.
Starting high school is an overwhelming experience for any teenager. For teenagers out there, you might wonder, what is it that is going to be challenging about it? Let me tell you a few things that you'll face. You'll face having to navigate a brand new school. You'll make new friends. You will see people from other counties, other countries, other schools that you've never seen before, that you will have to decide whether you want to be friends with them or not. The other thing is you're going to be meeting new teachers, brand new expectations of you. One of them is homework. I might have to remind you that, because a lot of middle schools don't give out homework, but in high school there's going to be a lot of it. In addition, there's peer pressure. There will be a lot of drinking, there will be a lot of partying, there will be a lot of drugs, and then you're going to be starting to date for some of you, break up with the one that you've been with in middle school for years. So, I mean, barrage of things that could be facing you when you get into high school. How do you navigate through being a new high school student? Or if you're a student that has been there for years, how do you transition from being in high school and now into the world where you're going to be either going to college or working? Because some people decide to take a year off. How do we get to understand that? That's what we're here to do today. Welcome to the Dr. STEM Show, and welcome to our segment that we'll call Youth Talk. We're going to talk to a teenager, young adult, youth herself, Fynesse, who's here with me today to clear some of the things that we have questions about as adults, as well as for you, the teenager that will be starting high school or finishing high school. Welcome to the show, Fynesse.
Thank you for having me.
Hey! I'm excited to have you because I think, there are a lot of things that we don't understand as adults. And the thing about it is, I figured, why not talk to you guys? Because you will be able to clear those things out for us.
Definitely.
But before we start, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Fynesse. I'm 17 and I'm a rising senior this year, which brings on a whole bunch of different emotions. It's very overwhelming at the same time. But yeah.
And you, how many siblings? Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I'm the oldest in my house of 3.
Okay.
But I have 8 brothers in total.
In total,
Yeah.
okay. You live with your...
I live with my mother and my 2 younger
What's
brothers.
your mom's name?
Excuse me. My mother's name is Evalicia Arroyo. Yeah.
I always like to give props to the mothers because I think for teenagers, the most difficult part is for the parents to understand and accept that I have a daughter who's now growing up, who's mature, who can actually get on TV and talk about the problems that she gave me or the challenges that she had.
Definitely. I have to say that my mom is probably one of the reasons why high school went, not as smoothly as anyone high school career goes, however it goes, but she's one of the reasons why it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Oh,
So, yeah.
Tell us about that. Now that we're starting with mom, how supportive was she, and how did she help you to transition?
I remember my first day of high school. She drove me and some friends to school and was just like, just remember, you're not going to be friends with the same people. You're not going to like the same things anymore. Things are just going to be different. And I will always remember that every time something changed in high school. And there was a lot of changes in high school.
So she said you're not going to be friends with the same people.
Yeah.
What else?
She said that there's going to be a lot of different changes.
Yes.
A lot of, just things are just going to be completely different by the time I graduate. Not even then, by the next month of high school, of my first month in high school, things would change.
Take note of that because that's very key. What
Yes.
changed for you when you went in there now?
The first thing that changed was my friends, I would say, is the first thing. Because I guess in high school you find what you really like to do. Like some people go off and do sports, some people go off and party, some people go off and only worry about school or themselves. And I think that's what really marked the transition in from childhood to slowly becoming a young adult was the friends and learning how to pick and choose.
How do you get to pick and choose? Because I think that's the challenge that everyone has. They
Yeah.
want to play sports, they want to do well in school, they want to party. How do you get to choose?
Well, first you need to know like who you are as a person and the things you like. You genuinely believe who you are. And excuse me, sorry. Do I have to start all over again?
Yep.
Okay. So first I think it would have to be trying to find who you are, as in like the things you like, things you enjoy doing, things like that. You need to know who you are in order to pick those friends that have the similar traits. You can't really be really close with someone who's a negative person when you're the complete opposite. So that's a big step in like choosing your friends.
Knowing who you are. I remember because I worked at the high school, at the same time when you were starting. And I remember having to talk to different girls and boys that were so different and couldn't understand why the other person wasn't talking to them anymore or why they were now hanging out with their boyfriend and not hanging up with me. Did that, happen to you where you had some friends or yourself start, hanging out with a new boyfriend and not with your friends?
Yeah, that actually did happen with one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And I never took offense to it. I was very open-minded as to the fact that she has a boyfriend now. I guess she'll spend more time with them. Also in high school, you get jobs and you have sports or stuff like that. So you know that you have a strict schedule, and there's only a certain amount of time that you can hang out with certain people. And you're just one person. You can't spread yourself like thin. So it wasn't that hard for me to understand that, but it is something that
it's a challenge.
That bothers you a little when you don't have a friend to be there when they used to.
It's a challenge for a lot of people. I know before we started the show, we were just talking as we were getting our coffee, and I say to you, "Oh, you're going into there," and you quickly jumped and said, "Yes, I'm gonna be an adult this year." Was that an excitement for you? Or?
It was more of like a. I'm kind of scared to be an adult. It's just like I've been a child for so long. Like they say, like you get treated as one, you are one basically. You're a minor, and then all of a sudden you're 18 and you're in high school, and then you're just like you're hit with all these like a revelation of things. It's just like you have to. I don't know. There's like so much. I don't even know where to start. But there's like a lot with being an adult.
An adult,
yeah.
I think what I like about that reaction was, when you said it, it took me aback, and I thought, oh, here we go. She's one of those people that cannot wait to make the decisions herself and to let mommy. I don't have to tell you what I'm doing. I don't have to ask you, to go somewhere, and just can't wait to be an adult. And then when I asked you about it, you're like, actually, I'm very scared. And I go, that reaction. A lot of people misread teenagers like that. Do you find that often that they say things that you're not saying?
Yeah, I think that it also has to do with the way we interpret ourselves, because we should be more careful with how we like present ourselves and how we react to certain things. That will definitely make someone think the complete opposite of what you're actually feeling if you're not 100% with your reaction.
Yeah. I mean, and most of the time, I wouldn't have asked to follow through with it, but because I was coming to do a TV show with you, I wanted to understand that. Are you really that excited to be an adult? You're like, no, not really.
It was more of a sarcastic excited.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so that makes it difficult. So what does being an adult mean for you? Because now you're 17. What does that mean to you?
To me, being an adult is you actually have to start making decisions that are going to better your future. And even though that's something that you've been told your whole life, it doesn't really hit you until you're right there. Yeah. And since I am right there, I have to think about like whether I want to stay home or go away for college, or like what kind of career path I choose to go on, and things like that really sit in your brain. You meditate on it a lot, because that is your future, and the rest of your life you do want to be happy.
So that's being an adult.
Yeah.
Tell me about being a young adult, an adolescent, a teenager. What does that mean to you?
To me, that means, how should I say? I think of being like a teenager in like middle school as well.
Okay.
So,
yes.
To me, that is transitioning your whole like lifestyle. You have to learn how you learn in school. You have to teach yourself how to, let's say, cook, or just be
as
responsible.
A teenager.
Yeah, like you need to slowly learn to be an adult, I guess, and like you slowly get put into that.
Hold on to that thought, because that's interesting. We're going to take a quick break. We're talking to a youth, a teenager, or a young adult, we might say, to understand the transitions that they go through, the challenges that they go through, especially in high school as well as after high school. We have Fynesse as our guest. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
As a youth motivational speaker, author, and coach, Dr. Stem understands that in a world where today's youth and parents are jaded and disappointed by institutions and people they perceive as out of touch with the reality of their lives, motivation is a dose that is much needed. It's time to excel. Dr. Stem Malatini is a refreshing change from the typical speaker. Dr. Stem understands the pressures, heartaches, temptations, hopes, and dreams of the generation that is just now coming of age. Students listen in transfixed silence as she speaks with the clarity and confidence of someone who has worked with teens, parents, and teachers for over 20 years. Her high-energy school assembly programs create a defining moment for schools and provide an experience students never forget. To reserve your seat in one of her coaching sessions, purchase her books, or to book her services, email her at drstemmalatini@gmail.com or go to her website at www.drstem.org.
Welcome back. During the break, I was just saying to Fynesse, what I want you to do as we do this discussion today is to get out of this box or this notion that I'm a good teenager. I don't know what you all are talking about. Let's talk about, in general, the teenagers and the challenges that they face. And you know what, so that if there's a parent out there that is watching, or a teacher or another teenager that's watching, they can put a face to it and say, oh boy, that's me. Or the mother can say, that's my Mary, or that's my John, or that's my, Kevin. Yeah. So we want to be able to open up a discussion where people can say, you know what, these are the real challenges that are going on. And then some things, teenagers just want to be bad, and they just want to be bad. They just make the bad choices. And some, really, those are challenges. So let's go back into the middle school, where you were talking about the middle school years, the teenage years. What a teenager means to you. Continue to describe what that means to you, being a teenager.
So being a teenager.
Yeah.
Going off the topic of not being the best teenager, making poor decisions.
Yeah.
You go into how should I say, an aura of peer pressure as well.
Yeah.
And in the peer pressure, you slowly start to know what you like and what you don't like, because you agree to things, and sometimes what you agree to isn't always what you like.
Yep.
Let's say you go to a party and you're introduced to alcohol for the first time.
Yep.
That's something that you don't want to say no, because everybody else around you is drinking. But let's say in your heart you truly don't want to do it, but you slowly in your mind start to tell yourself maybe I should try it because everybody else is doing it. Things like that. That's a very a scenario like that is something that teenagers mostly go through with anything.
And what about so then the drinking is happening there. Is it more partying in high school than in middle school, you think?
Oh yes, definitely. Because I remember in middle school, we would go to birthday parties, and it was completely different than just having to go to a party on a Friday where it's no one's birthday and they're just getting together.
Yeah.
And it's a different energy from middle school to high school.
So if you were talking to a parent out there, or an adult that's out there, should they really have the fears that they have about teenagers today? And if yes, why?
Yeah, I honestly do think that parents should fear certain things, because they were teenagers before, so they should know that there's a lot of things that go on, and with the generations it gets worse. So there's very big problems with drugs, especially here in Salem.
Yeah.
And I feel parents should take an initiative to talk to their kids about the dangers and the pros. There's no pros to drugs, but cons and the pros that could happen, just anything like that.
Yeah. But then talking alone is not going to help, because then, as we're saying, there's already a lot of drugs that are being used, and then there are some people that are already addicted to the drugs, and there are some people. So that means for every 2-3 teenagers that are congregated or standing around, there could be some drugs that are being exchanged. Am I right or wrong? At that point, is there hope for us?
Honestly, I feel there should always be hope for us, because we all want the best for each other, and sometimes we just fall and make wrong decisions. And I just think that where the hope starts is where we all need to be there for each other, and we need resources. Especially as teenagers, we think we know all the answers, but we really don't. We need adults who will step up and like not scold us for the decisions we make, but also like be a disciplinarian and be there for us as well.
Yeah. I was sharing with you, and I don't think you knew it, which is, a shame, because then right in the next town next to us in Salem, for those of you that live in the Salem, Massachusetts area, there is a police station in Gloucester, Massachusetts, where the chief of police and the Department of Police have decided that they will take anyone that walks into the police station and ask for help with treatment for drugs. So you could be high or using, or being surrounded by people that use, and you're worried about them, scared about them. They have opened a whole police station that you can walk in there and get help, and they actually have mentors that they can connect you with that will talk to you and help you get the treatment that you need, which I think is awesome. But my question to you and the rest of the world, how easy is it to influence? I mean, we're talking about peer pressure, so it's easy. People get pressured into using. How easy is it to pressure someone into treatment that that this person is using?
It's not easy at all
It's
to
not.
like peer pressure someone. It's way easier to peer pressure, like you said,
Into
into
bad
doing
stuff.
the drugs. But once you're comfortable with something with yourself, it's gonna be harder to get rid of it. Especially with drugs, drugs all create addictive personalities.
Yeah.
So I feel that's really hard.
One of you just said addictive personalities.
Yeah.
And one of the struggles I've had for years working with teenagers and young adolescents is marijuana being addictive. I know. I mean, all of you and, all the kids that are out there, they're like, no, it's not addictive. But I still honestly think that people will start off, small like that with marijuana, and then it does increase the want of wanting to use more drugs. I mean, what do you guys still think as teenagers? Because I think we've talked until we're blue, and people still say, no, it's not that bad.
Yeah. I'd say I've been guilty of saying that it's not an addictive thing. But like once you step out of your box, like you sit back, and I do have friends who have tried other things. And
right?
Yeah, and I never noticed that it would hit so close to home. Yeah. And you think things will be like when you start off with marijuana, you think things would be like okay, but for not for everyone is it okay.
Yeah.
Other people try hardcore drugs that can affect you long term way more than marijuana will, and it's just it's really like scary seeing it that way. Yeah, I think that's probably why we don't.
Thank you for being that honest, because a lot of things, and I think what you say is very good to say. You know what? Once it hits home, and you have someone close that actually, gets to start using harder drugs and gets addicted to them or get used to that now, and they're, over the hump of using marijuana, that's when it's like, oh boy, I guess this is real. It's true. It's real. So I hope it scares a lot of people out there to say, you know what, I wasn't that, right after all.
Yeah.
Grades and teachers and the transition of the school expectations. How was that from middle school to high school? What were the changes that you saw?
I saw that in middle school I had only two teachers. I had a science and math teacher, which were the same teacher. Okay. And then my English and my history teacher were the same. Okay. And they were very similar with their teaching skills. They weren't different. But then when you go to high school, you have like 7 different teachers. And one teacher will press you about your homework, and the other teacher will not care. Yeah. And your grade is up to you. So honestly, it's just your grades really depend on like your teacher, unless you're a very strong individual and you know how you learn. And for most people, like my freshman year, it's not like that. You kind of take advantage of the teachers that will let you slide. And the
okay,
who don't.
I like that. We're talking about the transition now with the teacher expectations and the grades and everything. And before we go on break, I just want you to hold on to that, because there's a lot more to talk about how you transition from the different teachers, the different personalities once you get into high school. We'll be right back.
How much difficulty do you have getting your employees or your customers to listen to the solutions you can offer? This may be one of the great frustrations in business. It's time to excel. Dr. Stem now offers solutions with her Soft Skills Leadership Training Program and the Woman's Executive Leadership Training Program. To reserve your seat in one of her coaching sessions, purchase her books, or to book her services, email her at drstemmalattini@gmail.com. or go to her website at www.drstem.org.
Hate it when we come to the last segment when the conversation is going so well and I'm learning a lot. You know, I've been in the high school for years now and working with teenagers and, young adolescents for over 15 years. But each time I get to learn something new and I get to share with you some new stuff. So, Fynesse, we were talking about being in the high school. You said you had 2 teachers in middle school. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. And now you have 7 teachers in the high school. What were the differences and the transitions that you had to make?
One transition I had to make was transitioning my learning skills. I had to realize that not every teacher teaches the same, and you have to learn how you take things in, depending on like you need to take notes or not. Things like that are very important. Also, another transition was like homework. You really need your homework. Like showing up to class on time isn't gonna cut it. You can sit there and be very enthusiastic in class and be You can sit there and be very participant in class, but it's all about how you show your work, and homework is a big way to show your work because teachers just throw that at you nonstop.
Well, they care. It's not just throwing, but you know what? That's how high school is.
Yeah.
And I think people need to get their reality, and be realistic about it. One thing that I notice is a lot of people get into the high school the first year and they're playing and doing their thing and thinking, I'll transition later. How hard is it when you get into the second year to look back and see how important it was for that first year for you to be serious from the day one?
Definitely. It's very important just because sophomore year, that was honestly one of my hardest years because I definitely went downhill my sophomore year with my grades. And it was just because I chose to hang out with the wrong people or chose to just do other things, like blow homework off. And it's very important because your junior year is the most important year. And your sophomore year is definitely gonna help create the mold of who you are for your junior year.
Yeah.
So.
You've been involved in a local program that has helped you tremendously. Can you talk a little bit about that program, how you got involved in it so that other kids can know how to join it, as well as some of the benefits that you've gained?
Definitely. I'm in the College Success program at Leap for Education, and this program is honestly one of the best programs I've ever heard of. It's just, they really tackle the problems of transitioning from high school to college, and they help you with your college essays and your transcripts, researching high schools and not high schools, colleges. And they actually opened so many doors for me. I was able to go to a program, an SAT program, where I met people from all along the East Coast, and I was involved in an entrepreneurship fair, and I've got to gain so many different perspectives of life and just how important education is to this society. You need it, and it was really.
And how do you get referred to it? How did you get picked out of the 1,300 students?
Yeah, my guidance counselor. That's why I think it's very important to be close with your guidance counselor. He saw that I was a really good student and there was a lot of things I struggled with, and I come from a low-income family. I'm a minority, so things like that really help out. And he chose me, and there was a lunch at Salem High, and everyone was invited. If your guidance counselor nominated you, you were invited, and you got a brief summary of the program, and you had to take the initiative into signing up for it or not. So you have to know where you want to go in order to want to be involved with something like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I hear 2 things. One, you can either have your guidance counselor coming in and inviting you to be a part, or you can initiate and go to the guidance counselor and ask the guidance counselor if there's a community program that helps with transitioning from high school into college.
Definitely.
Second, that's the second part. And also, once you get that information, it's important that you follow through. You either make the phone call, walk downtown and go to that program and say, hey, my name is so-and-so, how can I sign up for the program, and sign up for the program. And you did that.
Yeah, I did. I actually signed up for it right there at that moment.
Wow.
They were there because they give you the opportunity.
Yes.
And I always looked at it as, if I don't take this chance, what if I go through high school and regret it? So I definitely don't regret it, just because of all the doors it's opened for me.
Yeah.
And
Awesome. Did you play any sports, by the way?
no, I'm not really an athletic person. I like gym, but I don't really,
Okay.
yeah.
But you did gym.
Yeah, definitely. All 4 years I have to take it.
To take
Yeah, you can't
had to
graduate
take
without
gym.
it.
Okay. Because a lot of people out there, they like to be involved in sports. So, Fynesse wasn't involved in sports, but, you did the gym because exercise is really key to it.
Yeah, definitely.
What are the plans? Now you're facing the future. You're going to be an adult. What are the future plans? Where you going? What you going to do?
I'm definitely planning on going to college.
Yeah.
I plan on going to community college my first 2 years and transition my last 2 years of college.
Okay.
I think it'll be a better transition from high school to college, and I also feel like it'll be better for have the least amount of debt from college.
That's true.
Definitely.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And have you thought about the degree that you want to take and what the future will bring with that degree?
Definitely. I know I want to work with children, so I feel like social work and psychology is a really good route for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh, she's gonna be like me. All right, be a social worker. Awesome. So you know what? I have always seen in you that leadership that I'm seeing now at this level. I saw it in freshmen as, this one here is one to look out for, that she's going to be a leader. So I'm not surprised, and I know you can go and be anything that you want to be.
Yeah.
My hope is that you continue to have that excitement and that want to take risks, to take opportunities, to knock on every door that you think, this might be good for me, and, let them slam it in your face and you go, oops, okay, I guess I knocked on the wrong one. Go knock on the next one, because you're going to be, you're going to be great in whatever you do.
I appreciate that.
All right, so we've been talking about some of the challenges that we face in high school and some of the challenges that we face as you transition from high school into the community. One thing that we didn't talk about, physical, verbal fights that happen among people. What triggers people to be so angry, especially teenagers? I don't get it. Have you experienced that, or people around you? What is the small things or big things that happen?
With that trigger fighting. Is that what
Yeah,
you're
the
asking?
trigger fighting, yeah.
I would say being disloyal to your friends. I remember that was a big issue. I've never been a timid person. I've never been the one to go at people.
Okay.
But if I get attacked, I'm going to be defensive, obviously. So there was a situation where you have to defend yourself. And
Okay. What are those kind of situations, though? Because I don't understand. Because in defending yourself, that's when you're instigating a fight and fighting. So I don't get it. Somebody talking about you.
I've never cared about that.
I know, right?
There were certain things you need to not care about, like people talking about you, people spreading rumors. If you know, if you know yourself enough, you should know that shouldn't bother you.
Yeah.
And for some people, it's harder
Yeah.
to realize that, but slowly you'll gain that confidence throughout high school and learning that not what people say, not everything people say is true, and not everything that happens needs a reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And self-respect, I always call it self-respect, because if you know yourself and respect yourself enough, and you know that if you show out, if you fight another person, then guess what? You might end up being the one that's being suspended, and you didn't do anything. And that makes even them more mad. I'm like, why? You reacted to it. But you know what? We got to wrap up the show. I know I've been happy and excited to have you here. How is it for you? How did it feel?
At first I was nervous. Slowly I got comfortable with everything, yeah.
Right?
Learned to smile more.
And there you go. She smiled more. Well, thank you for coming in today. I really, truly appreciate having talked to you.
Of course.
And to all of you that are out there, I hope that you have comments, that you can make comments on how transition has been difficult or easier for you to transition from middle school to high school, or if you're a senior going into the community, how was it for you, and or how are you planning to transition? We would love to hear from you. Thank you for watching our segment Youth Talk on the Dr. Stem Show.
Thank you for listening to the Dr. STEM Show. Have a terrific week.